Hi, Sarah.
Hello, Fredrik, and hello, everyone, and welcome to This Week at LogTrade. And this is actually the first episode this year.
Of what season, Sarah?
Well, I don't know, season 3 it is.
Yes, it's season 3. 10 to go.
10 to go.
Yeah.
And you have this amazing background.
Yeah, and it's real. It's a real background. It's not fake. It's the European Alps, the highest resort in the European Alps called Val Thorens in France, south of Geneva, and north of Monaco.
This is amazing. You always have those interesting background, and I have my interesting background as usual. It is.
It's beige.
Yeah, but it's a little bit gray today.
It's gray beige today, depending on the weather outside in Gothenburg. Is it so?
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
believe that must be really exciting to even wonder where I am every time, and it's different rooms, but it's the same color.
Wasn't it a movie called Four Nuances of Beige?
No, that's another movie, and it was great.
It was gray. Okay. Yes, you can have the follow-up episodes, the Four Nuances of Beige.
It was 50.
50 gray, 50 nuances of gray.
Nuances of gray. Okay, anyway, today
Yeah.
we thought like we have thought about this, and we will keep it to a topic today, and we're gonna keep it a little bit shorter as well. But today we wanted to just reflect and discuss a little bit about the power of infrastructure and the power of predictiveness.
Yeah.
And we have one really interesting player today, which is very, very well known and always on the news somehow. But Fredrik, you had an experience because you drove from south of Sweden, Ystad, all the way to where you are now.
To mid-south of France, Val Thorens, with my Tesla for the first time. Normally we fly to Geneva, but due to COVID, and there was a big meeting in Geneva with Russia and the US the same day, we took the decision that we should drive with the Tesla. Everybody told us that will be really messy, and I can say to everyone, it's not messy. I'm not sponsored by Tesla anyway, but it took us 20 hours, a very nice night in a northern France city called Nancy with a great city center. So that was an experience. But I started to learn what Tesla is actually doing. They're building infrastructure in a way that I didn't expect was coming already, because I seen the infrastructure, of course, where to charge and where to park and where to do the service. But coming down to Europe with my Tesla and getting notice on my screen that here you can rent a motel room, here you can buy some food, and here is the access code to the toilets. That's really gave me some thoughts that, oh, they are ahead of the market here. They're already on the infrastructure level with service added to it. It's real life app store.
And the interesting thing is, in the beginning of the electrical car and Tesla, the whole journey, we thought maybe it was about the car and transportation method that will be much better. And then we started also seeing, of course, you need to charge somewhere, and the infrastructure about charging started to take place and is still in discussion and needs to be improved. But then when you start see all the third services connected to that infrastructure of charging the car, that is when it gets really, really interesting. And that is what we call the power of infrastructure, because many times we look at things from an innovation perspective and look, well, this is interesting, but I think if you really want to change something, often it lays within the infrastructure itself.
Yeah, electricity, even the gas, when it came with the gas power of the industrial machines, that was infrastructure. Electricity, definitely. We see all the wires around. telecommunications with the wired telecommunications during the 80s and the 90s. That's infrastructure. It's antennas everywhere. You see in the woods and around and charging. So this is more important than everybody thinks. So yeah, it's really gave us some thoughts here what to do for the future. And if a tomato is going to move and sell itself, that we are getting closer and closer to, it's getting more and more clear that it needs the infrastructure in some way. And the infrastructure could be software driven, of course.
Yeah.
Reuse of hardware, but software driven. Internet is one of those infrastructure. It was actually a software driven infrastructure using cables and connectors. And then, of course, turning it into simplified versions of going from old technology to IP technology in that way, and now to fiber technology later. But anyway, it's still software driven and method driven. How should you communicate? What is your identity? How should you identify yourself? The Tesla car, how do it knows I'm approaching the motel, and how can it offer the motel to me? And how can it calculate that it's the right time to offer the motel? Because I've been driving for 10 hours now, so probably I'm a little bit tired. And after 5 hours, maybe I'm a little bit hungry. After 2 hours, I need a pause and some water, and maybe to listen to a app with some yoga. I don't know.
But that is interesting because we spoke about that briefly. What do we think will be the next thing added to this infrastructure? Because now it's about you and your journey, and that seems to be a path taken. You traveling with the car, you getting predictiveness around what you need, an unmanned shop where you can buy something, a code to a toilet, the hotel where you can stay and rest, and so on. What do you think will be the next thing added to this infrastructure?
Help with my mental health. To start to calm down, take a mental pause. If you look to App Store and Apple Watch and Apple Health, Apple Training, Apple Plus, whatever we call it, it's a lot about your mental health, more than your physical health. If you get your mental health in place, relax, don't stress, calm down, that's what people is paying for right now.
Yeah, and if we look besides from all the applications, and there's a lot of applications nowadays around mental health, we can see like Apple's path with the watch and all the data that is being measured around you and how you are feeling. And that would be interesting to see how do you tap even more, because right now you can see that in Tesla's journey and infrastructure that it is about you as a person driving the car.
Yeah, but Tesla has a dimension that is quite interesting, because if both me and my wife is in the car, it's actually know that. Apple has a little bit of confusement there. Is it me using the computer or you using the computer?
Yeah.
But the Tesla car is actually trained from the beginning that you should be 4 people or maybe 5 people in the car or 7 people, and it can handle it. That's interesting also from a perspective where I think those platforms, like you say today, Apple is competing against Microsoft and Ford is competing against Tesla. I think that we must start seeing that Apple is competing against Tesla.
Yeah.
And Tesla is competing about healthcare. And Apple is competing about Peloton. And we need to see these dimensions, and that's really tricky, because if I'm a truck manufacturer, what is my competitor? Is it other truck manufacturers, or is it something else that actually can move a product to the place where it's going to be used? Is that my real competitor? And who is that? Is that an electrical scooter from Voi or Cheer out on the city in central cities around Europe? Is that my competitors if I'm a truck manufacturer? That's really what you start to see. And this is the infrastructure again.
And I think that is really important to start to think about when you think about your competition, right? Because often you think about someone that is in the same industry delivering similar things, but the competition in the pace that the industry is changing today, the competition is often something else.
Yeah. If you were a DJ in the, I'm going far away now, 70s, you were competing to live bands on clubs. You were entering as a DJ, just playing records.
Yeah.
Okay. Didn't see that coming if I was a live band. After that, the DJ was actually into a situation where services like Spotify and others are artificial DJs. So you didn't need the DJ. But between that, you had radio channels competing with them for free. And what will be tomorrow's DJ? I don't know. And what will be tomorrow's moving me around? I don't know. But if you see Tesla as a car manufacturer with just an electrician motor, you're very far away from what they're doing. And for you guys that didn't know that, Tesla started out to move energy. And when to move energy, how to move energy. Maybe we should build it like a car to move the energy. That's how they started. So they are a energy producing, energy moving company, actually competing with the electrician networks with all these lines being all around the globe. They can move energy without the lines. But are they a competitor to car manufacturers? I don't think so. They are more a competitor to Apple.
I think so as well.
And this is something for every one of you to start thinking about. Who are your real competitors out there?
But they are also challenging the old infrastructure that we have had for so long. That is what they are changing. And that is where it is really interesting.
Yeah, it's really interesting now to see how the gas and petrol producers are trying to have no Tesla chargers in the closed by section of their gas station. But people driving the Tesla wants to be there because they want to go in and buy a coffee. And if more Tesla drivers buy more coffee than people just buying petrol, this will be market self-driven.
Yeah.
This is the horse coming into the petrol station.
Yeah.
Who are going to bet on?
But it will be interesting. Maybe the petrol station will just be those stores where you buy things in it, and it's not related to. It is similar to in Sweden. We had the movie renting. If you remember those, you could rent movies, and most of them died, of course. But one interesting player converted it to become a candy shop.
Yes. And I think that these shops this gas station that will convert to code-based cleaned toilets, possibility to have an app, buy some good coffee, not bad coffee, and spolarvätska. Because spolarvätska is still needed even if you're an electrician, in together with some candy and food. That's the modern version right now. But I think this is really just a conversion when you have a stable trying to figure out what is a petrol station. So we are right in the middle of that conversion right now. So it's a little bit of both right now, and it's not suiting everyone or anyone.
Yeah.
So this is a starting point that is really, really interesting. But from my point of view, being a Tesla driver in Sweden, and now after 2 years in the pandemic coming out in the Central Europe, seeing what's happening, and the amount of superchargers being built is actually being built in that rapid speed that in a French normal city, they are not even all inside the Tesla app when I'm driving by. That's the speed they have. So this is interesting.
Great. I think that was our topic for today.
Build infrastructure or adapt to infrastructure and try to figure out your part of the market around this infrastructure. What's your product or service here?
Yeah, and sometimes you even want to call it ecosystem. Fine, I don't know the differences.
Call it whatever you want.
Call it, but
call a horse a car if necessary to do the change, but understand the change.
Yeah, really look I have started to call it infrastructure because I want to call it what it is. Start looking for that, because that is where you can find new business opportunities.
Okay. Thank you for listening, guys. Take care.
Take care.
Next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.